Alright, here we go. MagDK build. Just a couple weeks before the update. It is going to probably change. But as of right now, I'm doing the if you can't beat 'em, join 'em MagDK build. So, we got 49 in the health. Excuse me, Magicka. 15 in the health. We are a Dark Elf. We're running the Atronach with quite a bit of Divines. And we are starting off with the old Dark Convergence. It's a dual wield. We got one sword Nernhound, one mace sharpened. So it's a little bit of balance, a little bit of sharpened mace, a little bit of Nernhound sword just to keep it balanced. I run poisons on them, and I do light attack weave with the dual wield a lot, especially in between the whips and the claw. These poisons are inflict minor cowardice and grants you minor sorcery, so you get a little bit of extra spell power for 3.5 seconds and reduce their damage. But the big part of this is this. I don't have any type of breach. So unless somebody's running with me is running a breach, this is the extra pen I get is from this, just the 1320 for 7.3 seconds, which is actually quite a long time for a poison. It stays on them, lets the dots tick. If I get a big pop off on them, it's huge. I'm running that front bar, so the back bar, it's a gold potentate staff of restoration powered. I got the weapon damage enchant to give me a little bit of extra damage. I'm going to swap from my back to my front bar, and I run with the powered instead of the defending. So, with the Dark Convergence, we're running Rattle Cage. So we got Rattle Cage, head, chest, legs, and feet. So we're running 1, 2, 3, 4 heavy with 3 light. And the one-piece shoulder I'm running, it's more pen. It's to help buff that Dark Convergence. So as I said, a lot of divines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divines with 2 impen. The divines, because the Atronach, I got to keep that mag recovery as high as I possibly can. I am running an infused cost reduction glyph on the necklace. Infused spell damage, and I'm not golden this out because it's gonna get nerfed at some point. And then Malakath to help buff all my damage. I've tried a bunch of different setups. I've tried Balorg, I've tried Engine Guardian, I've tried Smalbeth. The best damage you're getting is from Malakath right now. That may change based on the fact of the change in mechanical acuity coming, which may be the set that I run instead of Rattle Cage, instead of Dark Convergence when the next patch comes. But as of right now, run Malakath with it. So, skill bar, I'm running Talents, and as you can see, my Talents, without any buffs other than the major sorcery from Rattle Cage, has a 10k tooltip. I am actually using Talons as an AoE attack, as opposed to Deep Breath or anything like that. The Talons is hitting, most people I'm noticing it's between 3,900 to I've seen it go as far as 6k on people. They're really squishy. That's 6k per spam. So forget the dot for 4 seconds. I'm using it as a spam when I do my Dark Convergence leap. Eruption is my Dark Convergence proc. It deals 10,000 damage immediately. So once again, this is like a 3,900 to 6k hit when you hit them. And you can spam it, but it's friggin' expensive. So you hit them with that, they get hit with damage. They get pulled into the Dark Convergence. You Ferocious Leap in, which my tooltip on that is 23k. And then you start spamming this Talons, or if there's just one guy, you switch to the Whip, because the Whip's hitting a little bit harder. I'm using the Whip with the heal. That'll be better next patch. And Burning Embers, I use the Cat Scratch because simply for the healing. It's a tiny little dot. It means very little to the actual pressure of the MagDK, but the healing on it is incredible. You need that. So you run that combined with the Power Lash. Plus you got your powered back bar, so you're good to go. Back bar on that resto staff, you know, you got your volatile armor. If you look at that, enemies that hit you take 1791 magic damage, and then you do 11,000 magic damage over 10 seconds. So you can stack that dot with the Talons dot, with the Burning Embers dot, and you do have some dot damage on them. Blinding Flare for the minor protection also does help with giving you a place to stand if there's Night Blades around, instead of wasting an attack pot if you want to kind of stand your ground. Coagulating Blood, which actually is hitting really hard in here. This heal is crazy good. Crazy good burst heal. Almost as good as blocking and Breath of Lifing. It's definitely up there. Then I'm using the old Rapid Regen. Give me that extra 28,000 over 5 seconds, which is good. And Mist Form, because you got to be able to move around the battlefield. You're going to be getting Dark Convergence. When you do, block and cast this. Get out. You can run whatever you want here. I do think that the minor protection from, which I don't think I have, so I guess I do have undo. But I'm not using it because I do like the standard, because we do a lot of tower fighting and things of that nature, doing fights inside a resource tower. You can throw this down and you know, defile them, get that extra 15% damage done and damage taken. So I like to drop this when I'm extremely outnumbered, then quick flip over and drop this, making sure I have an immovable up, and then get that extra 15% burst from the old Dark Convergence while I'm Talon spamming outnumbered. It does work. Got the Undaunted. So, take a look at my stats. Front bar will buff up. Back bar will see that it isn't much of a difference. It's 25,000 almost and 22,000. I do have that powered on, and with all that divines I get 434. So I'm looking at 1158 mag recovery, and I'm 30 and 30 with the health and mag. The back bar, it's 4,500 spell damage. Small percentage chance to crit. So, but it does happen. The front bar, you're running 5465 weapon damage. Remember, you're stacking that with the extra pen and 10% damage from this poison if you can get it off, plus this weapon damage enchant. If you know, time it all right, you can actually get some really decent burst. Once again, the crit isn't that good. 22.4 is a lot more than I thought I had, but nevertheless. I'm running the Dark Elf for the extra damage, the mag and the stam. As you can see, I got the 19,000 max stam. I'm doing a lot of blocking on the back bar. Blocking, hitting the coagulate, hit this, one more coagulate. You know, you're outnumbered 10 to 1. You got to do something. Do the block. Now, a lot of people aren't aware of this, and maybe they are. But back in the day, Absorb used to be only ranged magical attacks would restore the magicka. But if you read the stat now, restores 600 magicka whenever you block an attack. This effect can occur every quarter second. So instead of running a Sword and Board or a Frost Staff, I'm getting that extra heal out of the Resto Staff. I'm a little less tanky, but I'm actually getting a lot more sustain back from blocking when I'm casting moves and casting a heal and taking damage. This is important because the MagDK right now, sustain is terrible. But with that cost reduction glyph, as long as I keep a resto heavy attack when I burn through all my magic, I'm doing just fine. I'm noticing too, I'll burn through that 30k magic when we're fighting super outnumbered. If I get back behind, you know, one group, hit a heavy resto attack, 2 of those are going to fill that magic right back up. 2 heavy restos will fill it right back up to about 90%-ish. With the magic recovery, it gets all the way back up there. For champion points, the green tree, whatever. You know, Worm Out, Gifted Rider, I always run Steed's Blessing. It's just a go-to on the green. In the blue tree, I'm running Master at Arms for direct damage. Now, when it comes to the direct damage, initial hit, flame damage, 10k direct damage. Initial hit deals 10,000 flame damage. Initial hit 5k flame damage, not much. Initial hit 11.5. Initial hit 59 for your fossilize. Initial hit 23. Those are all direct damage attacks. Everybody thinks of the MagDK as a dot build, and that's one of the main issues it has with finishing, is because it's a dot build. But if you build into direct damage, and I'm also, if you'll notice, using Biting Aura, which is area of attack damage. So, with that, this is an AoE, this is an AoE, this is an AoE. So you've got 3 AoE moves through your Dark Convergence proc, your AoE spammable, and your AoE ultimate. This is single target, and I have chosen not to buff it, simply because it's single target, but it's still good. It's still hitting hard enough, harder than my 2 AoE moves. But I did go with Untamed Aggression. Now you could go with the Wrathful Strikes. You get 165 instead of the 150. But if you do the Untamed Aggression, that's 150 more weapon and spell damage. What'll go onto the back bar, it'll actually buff these heals up. So as you can see, it's 22,000 per second, not near a keep, and no continuous. If I hit this, because you're a DK, it goes up to 2482. If I have continuous and I'm near a keep, it's going to go to 2700. That really gets your radiant, and you can share that with your group members. Once you get too big of a group, then rapid regen starts to be less effective than a mutagen, but we usually run 4 to 6, and this is good enough for that. The last champion point I'm using is Ironclad for the additional 10% damage mitigation. A lot of people like to stack into the Unassailable and Duelist rebuff. I find being able to finish and kill people is more important to me than surviving a group and hiding behind a tree and running away. I wanna kill people. If I can't do it, I can't do it. I can always res it a keep and try again. So, but you can make up for a little bit of your mitigation here on the red side, and it's pretty simple. Fortified gives you that a little bit extra armor. Boundless Vitality for the health. Pain's Refuge, because you're always going to be fighting a lot of people. It's Server Zerg City and PvP. So you're going to have an insane amount of negative effects against you. This will help reduce that damage you take. And then Speed is God in PvP. Always running Celerity for that 10% movement speed. Gotta try to stay as fast as I possibly can. And then I got the Mist Form 2 to get around, so if I need to. So it works just fine. So once again, the stats, Resto, 5465. So, I'm a Vampire ult, and I usually go stage 2. This is something that happened in my prior video. I'm only stage 1. But that's another thing. So you Mist Form in, switch real quick, drop this, proc your Dark Convergence, leap in, and then just spam that Talons like so. And that's how you fight a group. Single target, you Mist Form towards them, drop that Convergence, hit them with the whip and the light attacks from the dual wield. D-leap if needed. But that Mist Form will give you another 350 weapon damage. If your poison procs, and you happen to hit them with a Resto Staff before you mist in, you're going to be pushing well over 6k damage on this thing. And it has more magic than I ever have on a Stam class. I'm playing it very similar to how you would with a Stam, but the heals are just so much better. If you could see that, it was a... Pop this. 73, I can't get a crit to go off. There it was, 11,000 on a crit. That's a third of my health if it does crit. So I've showed you the poisons. The food is the old Bewitching Sugar Skulls. Just want to get as many max stats as I can. Having as much health as I possibly can is really the key. I want to keep that around 30. Drops a little bit down depending on which campaign you're playing in, but for the most part it's fine. We do have the Emperor buff. No, there it is. So the potions are detection, movable detection based on your situation, and then the old knockback. So these ones you only want to use on a Nightblade, and the longer you play the game, the more familiar you are with other people. You want to use these on a Nightblade you know is going to be aggressive when you pull them out of stealth. 90% of the time, this one's good enough. It's going to be your major sorcery, which you already have because of Rattle Cage. Magic back to keep your stats up. I'm trying to use potions that are going to give me that major intellect, keep my recovery high. Because as you can see, let me pop one that's not going to hurt me too bad. We'll use this detect. You can get your recovery up to 1348, and then continuous gets it up even further. So you want to keep your continuous up. Also notice my penetration is 9693, almost hitting that 10k pen. And that's because of the 3 pieces of light armor. But anyways, you use these ones when you're just fighting the Nightblades who will try to cloak 80 times in a row just to get away instead of fight ya. But these are the bread and butter, so you're going to want to use these. They're going to give you the health, they're going to give you the health recovery, which means nothing. And then the magic and the magic recovery and the immovability, which gives you that ability to stay aggressive when you're fighting someone, especially on something as slow as a magic character. You're not a Nightblade running a speed ring. You don't have any wings or anything. Your speed boost is defensive only. So to stay aggressive, you got to sprint and you got to use your CCs. So that's about it. I would say the Vampire Stage 2 is the key. There isn't really anything I would change on these bars right now. I am thinking of Deadly and Mechanical Acuity on the next patch. But as of right now, I'm just using the old Dark Convergence because it's friggin' everywhere in Dark Convergence Online these days. So we just like to fight fire with fire, as they say. That's it. That's the MagDK build.